Welcome back. What we're going to be doing today is going to be on trigonometry, complementary angles. Complementary angles. Okay, and we're going to be considering a right angle triangle in finding out the complementary angles. We know that angle alpha plus angle beta plus angle, of course we know this is angle 90. Angle 90 will be equals to 180. Alpha plus beta plus 90 is equals to 180. If you can recalling a triangle rule. Now, to further take a step beyond this, we will now say that alpha plus beta is equals to 90. That means this angle is equals to this, plus this angle is equals to 90 degrees. And this shows that these two angles are complementary angles to 90. For you to find the value of alpha, you cross multiply 90 minus beta. And for you to find the angle of beta, is the same thing as 90 minus alpha. These are called complementary angles. And this can also mean that sine alpha is equals to x over 1. Remember, this is x, this is y, this is 1, which is the same thing as cos beta is equals to cos 90 minus alpha. Remember what we said here. This is it. Now the same thing applies to cos alpha, which is the same thing as y over 1 is equals to sine beta is equals to sine 90 degree. These are all in degrees minus alpha is equals to 0. The cosine means sine of the complementary angles. Whenever you hear cosine, it means the sine of the complementary angles. So if you now have a particular angle called cosine 72, you can as well call it is the same thing as, you can as well say that it's the same thing as sine 90 minus 72, which is sine 18 degree. This will now lead us to what we call special angles. Special angles. Now we are going to still be considering a right angle triangle like we've said before, but this time around let's draw another right angle triangle and make this one this is 90 degree. Whenever you see this sign, this means it's 90 degree. You have y here, you have x here as the opposite, and we have 1, which is the radius of the circle. Remember, everything sits on a quadrant in a circle. So we are going to be considering this ratio of angles of 0 degree, um, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree, and even 360 degree. Although sometimes people don't really refer to 360 degree because it's actually closing up a circle. So now when you now have all these degree, they occur frequently in questions, most especially UTME questions, JAM questions, post-JAM questions, and SEC questions. So what you need to do, you must be able to represent them in solid format. These are solid format, root 2, root 3, root 4 over 2. Those are solid formats that you likely see in your options in the exams. So now, when you want to represent them, you should have sine 0 degree. Sine 0 and sine 0 degree is the same thing. Remember the rules, complementary rules we mentioned before, is the same thing as cosine 90 degree minus 0 degree, which is the same thing as cosine 90 degree. Which is the same thing. When you look at the tables in you look at the figures in the tables, you realize that it's y over 1, which is the same thing as 0. This means that the value of no, that means I make a mistake. This is supposed to be x, supposed to be y. This is y axis when it goes up, and this is x axis when you go to this side. That means this is y, this is x. That means the value here, the value of y is not increased at all. It's not increased, and that means it's at this level, and the alpha or the beta is at this level, which is at angle 0 degree. 0 degree. So we have the y, which is increasing in value like this, as 0, which means it's 0 over 1 is equals to 0. The same thing applies to when you have tan theta is equals to uh, tan 90 and tan 90 cannot be defined because that is going to be giving us is going to be it's going to be y over 0, which is the same thing as y over x, and then 0 is equals to 0 over 1 is equals to 0. Oh, no, that's a mistake. That shouldn't be the same thing. No, this is what I wanted to write. Tan 0 degree is equals to y over x is equals to 0 because y is not increasing over 1. Y value is equal to 0 over 1. That means it's equals to 0. Tan 0 is equals to 0 is equals to 0. Okay, and then tan theta which is the same thing as tan theta, which is equals to tan 90 degree, cannot be defined. Cannot be defined because it's going to give you y over 0, which has no value. Has no value. Has no value. It's going to lead to infinity. It's going to be infinity. So we can now see that these values, these are the norms. This cannot be defined when it comes to 0 degree. Cannot be defined when it comes to 0 degree. We're going to be looking at angle 30, angle 45 in short. So when you just see that in any expression, what you just need to do is to change the value to a short value. So when you are considering 30 degree and 60 degree in an equilateral triangle of ABC, this is an equilateral triangle ABC. This angle is equal to this angle. We have 2, we have root 3, we have A, B, C. These are all 1 and 1. We have 30 degree here, and we have 60 degree here. We also have 60 degree here because it's a equilateral triangle. That means all sides are equal. All sides are equal. So in this kind of angle, we have the AD bisects angle A, is perpendicular. This means perpendicular to BC. Then BD is equals to 1 and AC is equals to root 3 units. So considering this, we have sine 30. I mean, making this the adjacent and this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite. You're going to be, it's the same thing as cosine 60. This is the adjacent, this is the opposite, and this is the hypotenuse. It's the same thing as 1 over 2. This is 1. Cos 60 here is 1 over 2. And then cosine 30 is the same thing as sine 60, which is the same thing as root 3 over 2. And tangent 30 degree is equals to 1 over root 3. While tan 60 degree is equals to root 3. Please note these expressions when you're solving your trigonometry. It's going to be coming up more and more often. And the last one, which is we're still going to mention this and this and this and even this. So let me clean up the board so you can see very well. Okay, when you now have 45 degree, let's consider this again. This right angle triangle. Assuming this is 1 and this is 1, This is an angle, right angle, angle A. This is A, B, C, which is we have 45 here, we have 45 here, and this is 90. Remember complementary angles. This angle plus this angle gives this angle. So angle A is equals to angle B, which is equals to 45 degrees. So that means we have AC is equals to CB is equals to 1 unit. Then AB is equals to root 2. If you use Pythagoras triangle, Pythagoras rule. So now, we're not going to be using we use Pythagoras rule to find this angle, because if this 1 and 1, and we know that Pythagoras rule states that hypotenuse is equals to square root of adjacent square plus opposite, which is equals to root 1 plus 1 square, which is root 2. And that's how we got this value here. So we now have that sine 45 degree is equals to cosine 45 degree, which is the same thing as 1 root 2. And tan 45 degrees is equals to 1. We are now going to be considering angle 180. Now, angle 180 means that 180 degree means that sine 180 degree is equals to cosine 180. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be sine. Sine 180 degree is equal to the same thing as 180 sine 180 degree minus 0 theta is equals to sine theta, which is equals to 0. No, sine 0 is supposed to be 0. Sine 0, which is the same thing as 0. And also note that you have cosine 180 degree is same thing as cosine 180 minus 0 is equals to minus cosine 0 degree is equals to minus 1. Please note all this. This is applicable to remember when we were talking about the quadrants, and the minus sign, the quadrant, and which quadrant affects which of the the ratios. So this is the same thing as that we are trying to do here. Then when we have tan 180 degree is same thing as tan 180 degree minus 0 is equals to minus tan 0 is equals to 0. So lastly, please just note this value is applicable to all of them. Now lastly that we are going to be talking about is 270. Okay, 270. degree. Now for 270 degree, you have sine 270 degree is the same thing as sine 360 minus 90. See, which is minus sine 90 degree, which is the same thing as minus 1. And you have cosine 270 degree is the same thing as cosine 360 degree minus 90 is the same thing as cosine 90 is equal to 0. And tan 270 degree is undefined. It's going to give us infinity. It's undefined. So these are the ratios and the special angles that we need to know. In summary, what you need to consider when you are doing any of this word, any of this, any questions that deals with this angles is, whenever you see them in an angle, just convert them to solve. And in fact, you should look at the options that you have. If you see those options in solve, immediately quickly convert them to solve. And the solved format of these angles are going to be, let me just give it in summary. You have 0. I'm going to be using this to draw the table. So you have this in the table. And you have the ratios here, sine, cosine, and tangent. And you have this like this. So if you have this, it's going to be, you have 0, 1, 0. You have 1 over 2 root 3 over 2, 1 over root 3. You have 1, you have 1 over root 2, you have 1 over root 2. You have root 3 over 2, 1 over 2, you have root 3. This is undefined. You have 0, you have 1. You have 0 here, you have minus 1 here, and you have 0. I think we are missing out one, which is okay. This is supposed to be 90. Um, I mean, this is 90 degree, this is 180 degree, and this is 270 degree. 270 degree. This is minus 1 and 0, and this is undefined. So please note this. Whenever you are doing any calculations and you have seen the options, you have seen that the options that they've been giving in the answer is in a short format or is in a simple format. You can quickly substitute any of this into any of the formulas. Into any of the expressions that you've been given and quickly arrive at your answer. I'm going to be doing one last example to clarify what we've been discussing since. So that one example is going to help us be able to know how to manipulate our ways in solving questions that is related to all this kind of mathematics question. Now take for instance you have a question that is sine. Okay, I'll take 2. 120 degree. Well, sine 120 degree, if you look at this, is the same thing as sine 180 minus 120 degree. I mean, minus 60, which is the same thing as sine 60 degree. It's the same thing as root 3 over 2. Remember in the table. And if you have something like cos 240 degree, it's the same thing as cos 180 degree plus 60 degree is the same thing as minus cos 60 degree is the same thing as minus half. Now, if you have the last example, if you are given a question like this, given that 4 tangent 75 degree over 1 minus tangent square 75 degree is equals to 1 over cos 150 degree. Find tangent 75 degree in solid form. Can you see this is going to be, our answers is going to be leading us to a short form. So what we have is 1 over cos 150 degree is same thing as 1 over minus cos 30 degree, which is the same thing as 1 over minus root 3 over 2, which is the same thing as 2 over root 3. So when we now have 4 tan 75 degree minus 1 minus tan square 75 is equals to minus 2 root. This is equal to minus 2 over root 3. I'm going to be clearing this up, so I'll continue from here. Two root 3, and which is the same thing as tan 75 degree over 1 minus tan square 75 is equals to minus 1 over 2 root 3. Which is the same thing as, we can as well make tan 75 to be equals to t. Then we have t over 1 minus t squared is equals to 1 minus 2 root 3. And what we are going to be arriving at is a quadratic equation. We're going to be given a quadratic. This is going to lead us to a quadratic equation, and we have to solve for the value of t. We have to solve for the value of t in the equation. So we are going to have the expression of t squared minus 2 root 3t minus 1 is equals to 0. So when we solve the quadratic equation, Solving the quadratic equation will give us this value. T is equals to 2 root 3 plus or minus root 16 over 2, which is the same thing as root 3 plus or minus 2. And then we know that tan 75 degree is equals to root 3 plus 2 or root 3 minus 2. And tan 75 degree must be a positive value. So tan 75 degree is equals to 2 plus root 3. This is the correct answer. Remember, we cross multiply here, and that's how we got this equation, this quadratic equation. Okay, so this is the solution for this for now, and then we're going to move into the next level of trigonometry. Thank you.